All right. So here is the thing. There is a place that is known as Gore Orphanage, and it is a legend in Vermilion, Ohio. So the Gore thing is real, but also it's not. So hopefully you're really confused right now. So I can rip this apart and tell you the legend of Gore Orphanage. Ooh.
Ooh.
So the legend says that on Gore Orphanage Road in Ohio, an orphanage burned down, killing dozens of kids inside while people watched. How it started changes from version to version. Sometimes it was a wicked old man who was named Gore and he wanted the insurance money, or he just liked to burn little children like you do. Or that an orphan kicked over a lantern in a barn and that spread to the main house. And then if you go to the woods off Gore Orphanage Road, you can see ghost kids and mist and swirling lights. You can hear their screams. And those little bastard kids put handprints all over your car. What is it up with like fucking ghost kids leaving handprints on cars? It's so rude.
I don't like it. Or on the back of paintings, apparently.
On the back of paintings, but you know, the haunted railroad tracks in San Antonio, when we did that, we have the handprints on the car. They could have also just been that I have really tiny fucking hands and it looks like a child's handprint. I don't know. But still, like, you have to wash your car and that's rude. So, is there any truth to this terrifying tale of terror? Kind of, sort of, not really, but kind of. It's still very murky. So, let's start with the Aryan. Not the Aryan. There is not a Nazi in this story. There's just an Aryan.
I was like, oh, is that where we're going?
Well, I mean, this place is really white, so yeah, there's probably Aryans. So, Vermilion, Ohio. This place is known as the crowning jewel of the South Shore of Lake Erie. And first off, crowning sounds like a baby coming out of a vag. I would not use that in my town slogan. And second, MainStreetVermilion.org calls it a small town on a Great Lake. And as a Texan, I don't understand the Great Lakes. Like, this town is also called a village of sea captains or something like that. And there's a lighthouse and there's a beach, but it's not an ocean. It's a lake.
No.
Like, how can you be a sea captain on a lake? I
I
don't understand it.
It's not a sea or an ocean. So you're not a sea captain. You can be a lake
But
captain.
they say, they think, and there were pirates on it, and they think it's an ocean, and I don't understand the Great Lakes at all. I don't get them.
I don't either. I can't wrap my brain around them.
Also, in this town, the day after we tape, so tomorrow, there will be the 50th annual Woolly Bear Festival, and that has the longest parade in Ohio and also has caterpillar races. So there are people and pets that are dressed up as woolly bear caterpillars. And their tourist page is also very proud of the fact that this town still has a working soda fountain and that people sit on their porches watching boats come in at night. So clearly this town sounds boring as fuck and a great place for ghost legends to grow because clearly nobody has anything else to do, right? But so all right, so we are off the Vermilion River, and in that area, in the early 1800s, a man named Joseph Swift bought 400 acres in the river valley, and eventually there he built what was called the Swift Mansion, because he was Swift. Yeah. So it was huge. It had 14 bedrooms and servants' quarters. It's a huge, huge place. But he lost all his monies. Oh no. And the Wilburs purchased it around 1874. So this was Nicholas and his wife Eliza, and they had some bad luck after they moved out there, including the fact that all four of their grandkids died within a 6-day period of diphtheria. So then not winning the Oregon Trail game. I mean, I think that's dysentery, but still also failing the Oregon Trail trip. But there are also rumors about the Wilburs because they were spiritualists. What? And this is not surprising given the time frame, where they were located, and also just the fact that they had family members die, and that generally is a reason why people turn to the spiritualist church, because they want to talk to dead people. And so people are like, oh no, they're having seances out there. But Eliza may not have been completely okay. She would every night set out dinner plates for the dead kids and then go tuck them into bed. It's not very specific about like whether or not she was like just tucking fake thing. I don't know what she was doing, but not coping. That's not a good coping.
No.
No. And Nicholas dies after the turn of the century, and most of what is now called Swift's Hollow was bought by a Mennonite missionary named Johann Sprunger and his wife Katharina Sprunger, and is often noted that Katharina's last name was Sprunger before they got married.
Hmm.
It is unclear. People are unsure if they were cousins or brother and sister. Either way.
That's fun.
So before they moved to Ohio, though, they had lost 2 of their children, and also Johann's businesses had burned to the ground. Which, while sus, apparently also these tragedies drove them deep into the arms of Jesus. And so when they moved to Ohio, they built the Light and Hope Orphanage in Swift's Hollow. And they built 4 buildings for the orphanage, and the kids did not sleep in the mansion, though. They built like buildings for them, so they didn't want to. I don't know. The mansion's like starting to fall apart. They're weird. There's also stories of it being, well, an orphanage in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and terrible. And the kids were beaten, and they were dirty, and it was unhygienic, and they ran away a lot because it was an orphanage. And probably shitty, right?
I feel like that adoptions weren't happening very frequently in that time period.
Probably not. They were probably just kids that were there to work farms. That's probably my guess. But also, the orphanage did not last long. In 1911, the Reverend had a stroke and died. And the orphanage closed for good about 4 years later. And most of the buildings burned down, but no kids were ever burned in it. But being, like I said earlier, this is a place with fuck all to do. Even as early as the 1900s, people started saying that the woods were haunted by ghosts of kids who died in a fire. And one of the theories is that
the fire that didn't kill any kids.
The fire that didn't kill any kids. There were fires, but the fires didn't kill any kids. But in 1908 in Cleveland, which was not far from there, I mean, far in those times, but, you know, in today's, I think it's like 45 minutes or something. In 1908, there was a fire in Cleveland, and 172 children died in that. And that was not an orphanage, it was a school. And it was a really terrible story, but they think that maybe those things started getting twisted. So as the buildings disintegrated, the stories grew. And even while they tried to revive the Swift Mansion, somebody burned it down in 1923. So now if you go out into the woods on Gore Orphanage Road, and there's a road there that says Gore Orphanage, you can see the burnt out remnants of the buildings, and it's really creepy because there's burnt out remnants of a building.
Yeah.
Because that's creepy in the woods.
It's creepy.
That's just fucking creepy. And there are graves there, right? Because those kids and other people did die in the mansion, but they just died because they were sick. They don't think anybody was actually murdered there, whatever. So, but people really do see shit in the woods, and there are paranormal investigators who go out there and have recorded screams and all sorts of things. But also, it's the woods. Spooky shit happens in the woods. Like, that's just... So, in the end, there was never anybody named Gore. A Gore is actually a triangle shape, and that is what the road to the Swift's mansion looked like, so they named it Gore. And so for a while, it was just Gore Road. Then somebody added orphanage to it later because it came associated with the Sprunger Orphanage. So, is this story true? No, but kinda, right? Isn't that great? And I will say, this legend is still embraced by the town. The Brownhelm Historical Association will present the history of Swift's Hollows and the real story of the legend of Gore Orphanage on Wednesday, October 5th. But that'll be after this episode comes out, so you'll have missed it, and you'll have to go next year. So, but if you're in Vermilion, go check it out. That's the story of Gore Orphanage.